Anders, congratulations on the launch of LUMI, EuroHPC's biggest system yet, and I think the biggest system in Europe ever. This must be a really exciting moment for you and for the joint undertaking.
It most certainly is. So first of all, thank you. It is exciting. It really is. It is, as you say, it's the first of the pre-exascale systems that's now coming to life. We have had a preview of LUMI, of course, since we made it partially operational before Christmas, and users have started looking at it. But with the GPU partition that's going to come to life now, this does start a complete new chapter for the JU and for the European community.
By my count, you've now at least partially launched LUMI, Discoverer, Vega, Carolina, and Melixina. Those are 5 of the 8 systems that were initially announced back in 2019, I think. How are those other 3 doing? Where are they in the process?
So first of all, you count correctly. That's indeed the case. We have those machines operational and providing capacity to the scientists. We're still missing 2 of the 3 pre-exascales. Leonardo is in Italy, is being constructed as we sit here, and I hope and expect that we will see an announcement on the November Top 500. MareNostrum 5, we went through the process of the procurements. We've closed that, and with a little luck, within the next week or so, you'll be able to see an announcement on that moving forward and with a timeline. So we're in the final rounds of contract negotiations.
That's wonderful to hear. And what about Deucalion?
So Deucalion, there we're also waiting for the data center to be finalized. Everything else is ready. So with that, we will hopefully also see. The plan is to see Deucalion also by the fall of this year.
Excellent. Beyond those first 8 systems, you mentioned today in the press briefing that we're on the cusp of some very important decisions regarding exascale in EuroHPC. Could you speak a bit more to that timeline?
Definitely. I mean, because it's not even a secret. It's part of my new regulation. So EuroHPC is governed by a regulation that's set out by the member states of the European Union when they fund us, and it clearly states that we are to fund at least 2 exascales. The first one we went out to the way we do it is that we ask who wishes to host a system, and we get responses back, and after that we start the procurement. So what happened shortly before Christmas was we went out with that call, which countries would like to host essentially the first European exascale system. And we've had the responses back. We've evaluated them. Now, I can't disclose any more than that, other than it's on the agenda of our governing board meeting, which takes place in Kayani. We've co-located it with the inauguration of LUMI. So on the 14th of June, the governing board is to decide who will host Europe's first exascale machine, along with also a number of new mid-ranges.
That's very exciting. No resting on your laurels, right into the exascale from the launch of LUMI. And apart from exascale, what can we expect to see from EuroHPC over the next 5 years or so? The JU has put out a lot of calls in the last few months, and there's a lot more in the works from what I understand.
Let me put it this way, we have our work cut out for us. Again, the regulation sets out a number of things that we are to get into. I also have a governing board that has further ideas. So initially what you've seen is quantum. We're getting, so with the new regulation, quantum was added to the EuroHPC agenda, and it was added heavily. So we've gone out again with a call where we are asking who wishes to host the first EuroHPC quantum computers. And that call has not yet closed. It will be closing, and as it closes, we will of course evaluate it and then announce the first set. And this will be multiple hosting entities for quantum machines. The aim is to provide access to quantum computers to the European community, just like we're providing access to HPC systems. We are focusing on diversity and technology. So what we would like to have is as many quantum technologies available so that scientists and any users of them, potential users of them, can get to know what it is, what using quantum is all about, and we can enrich our knowledge on that. So that's one side. On the HPC side, of course, we will continue. We will continue to invest in new systems. Not only the exascales, but also after that, the agenda is twofold. First of all, EuroHPC was set up because it was recognized that there was a lack of computing power within Europe. So we're now trying to close that gap. But if we stop investing, well, then we'll rebuild the gap. So it's clear we're going to continue to invest in machines. But it's also for geographical diversity. We want to get more users on it. We want to increase the knowledge within HPC. So I think you're going to continue to see new countries joining the HPC scene and wishing to have machines of their own so they can grow the ecosystem within their country. On top of that, we have as the JU, it's been further enhanced in the new regulation is the skills set. So we'll be coming with a number of calls to further increase the knowledge of HPC and the skills within HPC. We will also be looking to interconnect all our. So you say right now we're buying a number of systems and we're making them available, but we can't help but think that putting them together, some of them into bigger systems could have potential. So again, the regulation foresees the hyperconnectivity of the EuroHPC machines. So that's something you're also going to see us going for. And then last but not least, again, as specified in the regulation, we will be looking to federate the EuroHPC machines in order to make it easier for our user community to access the machines as the number of them grows. We can't keep on managing them as individual machines. So yes, we have our work cut out for it. And then last but definitely not least, there's the whole research agenda behind do innovation within the technologies and further increasing the ecosystem within Europe, and here the industrial ecosystem. We have a very ambitious agenda of wanting a significant European technology footprint within the second exascale system that we're gonna fund. So of course the EPI project is continuing. We've launched the phase 2 of it, so we're going to continue our work within what we started on the European Processor Initiative. In parallel to that, you have the whole Chip Act that's come to life by the Commission, and all the interesting things that's going to bring. And on the EuroHPC side, we have already what we call a placeholder for research and innovation calls in and around RISC-V and other processor technologies. So I think you're going to see a lot of activities from EuroHPC in and around European technology to go into HPC systems.
That's a perfect segue to my next question. You know, back in 2018, 2019, what might have seemed ambitious for EuroHPC now seems more necessary. It's a very interesting and different environment now with supply chain constraints and challenges there, as well as geopolitical tension that has mounted in the past few months. Could you speak to operating an initiative like EuroHPC in that kind of political environment and how it ties into the bevy of announcements we've seen just over the last 6 months in terms of investments, companies building new factories, new fabs, the European Chips Act, to support this indigenous or sovereign European supercomputing?
So sure, there has been a lot of, I think the whole COVID situation, and as you also refer to different geopolitical situations, have led Europe to wake up to the fact, and it's not just in HPC, it's just in general, that we've become very reliant on other parts of the world supplying. What we may not realize is very critical components. And then all of a sudden you need it, and that's when you realize it's critical. I mean, if we just look at the COVID situations and something as simple as masks, realizing that our ability to produce that was gone. And then I have to admire the way it quickly got back on its feet. But there are a number of areas where I think it has led to thinking about Europe needs to regain some self-sufficiency, some ability to do things ourselves. That doesn't mean we don't want to play with others, it just means we also want to be able to do things. And on the technology side, I think something like a European processor is an extremely important component in order to be able to rest assured that not no matter what happens, but we would be more self-sustaining. But also, it's not just about that. It's also about regaining that knowledge of how to do it, so that we have the expertise and we can build an ecosystem around it. But again, doesn't mean we'll never buy a CPU that's not from Europe. It just means we also want to produce one.
That's really fascinating. I'm interested how EuroHPC views that kind of spectrum of availability. Obviously, there are things that are looking to be manufactured in Europe, like EPI, that are homegrown fully, and then there are things completely manufactured and homegrown elsewhere. But then now we have these investments from HPE and Intel into manufacturing products within Europe. Does that open new doors for the JU?
Yes, definitely. I think what we've seen from a number of players is a willingness to play with Europe, to be part of this, where what we're saying as Europe is we want to be part of it. We don't want just to buy something off the shelf that we ship in. No, we want to be part of the process. And I think what a number of manufacturers and non-European companies have seen is there is some expertise within Europe that they can also tap into. So co-design of basically looking at what is it the European community is looking for, and tailoring products to that, and working together with European industry in order to produce a product that matches our requirements better. Actually, in some cases also turns out to then also be helpful in other markets. But we've clearly seen a change in a number of non-European players, which I really welcome. And I'd like to think that the engagements of EuroHPC had at least a little to do with it, but just that whole slew of investments into Europe, where they are placing activity within Europe, so Europe can be part of it, I think is first of all very welcomed, and also a very nice change.
That's very exciting, and I'm certain that EuroHPC has had a lot to do with it. Couple of last questions. So, when can our readers expect another big announcement? On the day of your biggest announcement so far, maybe? When can we expect to hear, for instance, about those exascale systems and who will be hosting them?
I mean, as I said, the decision, I'm assuming my governing board will be able to take a decision on June, at the June governing board meeting. Anyway. So I think you can expect some announcements shortly following that, and then starts the hard work of actually delivering.
And just before we sat down for this, Tiffany mentioned that she had heard word of a MareNostrum 6, which I know might be a little touchy, but we were curious if that was operating under the auspices of EuroHPC, that idea, when it was mentioned.
So let me put it this way: the idea is definitely not new, and we've had many fun discussions also about the location of that thing, considering the beautiful data center that's currently hosting MareNostrum 4. So it's definitely not the first time I hear of that. I'm sure. Let's just be agreed. I'm sure there will be a MareNostrum 6 at some point in time. That's for sure. But let's get 5 in first, and then I would welcome if sometime in the future that MareNostrum 6 would also be a EuroHPC machine. Definitely. right now it's not. It's not amongst what I'm going to the governing board for in June. I can tell you that.
Well, there's plenty of time right now to celebrate your amazing success today. Anders, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for your time.
Have a great conference.
Thank you.